welcome to another episode of Ask a Brother podcast. I'm your host, Jeff St. James. And listen, y'all, I'm both excited and also it appears that after the response and the reviews and the views of the Obama episode I just released, everything has changed with my channel. It seems like a lot of people are commenting and stating that they thought that perhaps I went on a little bit of a break or a hiatus, and people are saying that my videos haven't been popping up for them. So if you are in the chat, if you are watching this, feel free to kind of hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. Make sure you hype this video as well. If you have to scroll past, I think the comments, if you slide the comments over, you can actually hype this button, hype this video up. I'm super excited about today's episode, y'all. No lie. So before I get into today's guest and jumping straight into this interview, just a couple quick announcements. So number one, subscribers. We are at 29,455 subscribers, which is about 29,355 subscribers more than I had as of recent until July. So shout out to y'all for kind of jumping in and being a part of this wave. As I stated earlier, y'all, we'll see what if things kind of improve with YouTube, but we've noticed a major dip in the last 3-4 days since we put out the Obama episode. So it's very clear that maybe I was right, that apparently, you know, when you touch certain topics, it appears that, you know, things can kind of start to happen. They did not demonetize me, which I'm grateful for. They didn't kick me off of YouTube because I didn't say anything too off the wall or crazy, but apparently maybe just mentioning him, who knows? So, you know, what it is, I'll just make a couple quick announcements and then we're going to see a video from our sponsor, and then we're going to get straight into the interview. Number one, shout out to the members. You are the ones that are kind of holding this down. So while we try to work on trying to get the numbers back up and figure out a way to get all these these videos and clips back out to you all and get boosted stuff, make sure you guys, this is a very easy way for you guys to support the channel and support these type of episodes. Number one, obviously I mentioned that you should like it. Number two, you can become a member of the channel. Membership starts at $2.99. I always tell people, if you're already a member, feel free to you know, donate if you choose to, but just know that members don't have to donate anything towards these episodes or these videos. Always will appreciate it if you do, but I'm always grateful for people who just do whatever they can as far as the small ways of kind of showing support. So shout out to everybody that's kind of sticking around, that's watched the Obama episode. I'm planning on trying to release the next episode, I believe Friday or Saturday, maybe Friday. I'm going to try to aim for Friday, and it's going to be titled How to Become a Master Communicator. So I'm really excited about that because I've been putting a lot of work and time into it. And I hope that, like my other original content, you guys love it. Our store. Remember, when I rock this hat, these hats won't always be available. The shirts that we have, the hoodies, the sweatshirts, all of that's going to be changing over the next month or so as we get ready for Christmas and the holiday break. So make sure you grab your stuff if you can. All the links are going to be posted throughout this chat, as well as on the actual channel bio section with all the links for consultations, for therapy, for groups, men's groups, the store, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So without further ado, I want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, which is Do Sable Botanical Farms, for their healthy alternatives to assist you gentlemen in the bedroom with sexual performance and improving testosterone levels. So we're going to watch a video from our sponsors, and then I'm going to introduce our guests and get us rolling. So stay tuned. All right, y'all. So again, thank you to Do Sable Botanical Farms for what it is that you're offering our audience. If you all could click on the link, we have it as well in the bio section. We'll be posting it in the chat as well. And if you make a purchase, you can type in the coupon section, ask a brother 10 to get 10% off your next purchase. So for starters, shout out to a couple people who just joined. Johnny Cleveland, thank you for becoming a new member. Dre on the grind, shout out for becoming a new member. I appreciate you guys for joining the wave. And number two, because you all are saying that I'm doing too much looking around and reading stuff while I'm talking to my guests, if you really want your comments to be shown for sure, the one way to guarantee it is for you to stand out is to do a super chat. That's where you click on the $sign, pose your statement, your feedback, your comment, your question, and I'll make sure to show it at some point during the discussion. So for starters, welcome everybody. So real quick, if you're watching this right now and you're just now filtering in, y'all are going to love this. Y'all are going to love this because like I've been telling y'all for the longest, this channel since I've started it is just about hearing new perspectives, asking different questions, especially taboo questions and things that perhaps we often haven't been allowed to say, aren't allowed to ask. Being a Black person of color myself, it's very, very clear and obvious as I cover new territory. Shout out to CJ for becoming a new member just that quickly. I'm telling you, y'all, shout out to the members because y'all are the ones that's holding this channel down for sure. And I'm just letting y'all know, like, real quick, listen, we can beat the algorithm stuff. We can beat all the things that that I'm kind of seeing with this whole shadow banning and the BS stuff. The way you get around it is you like it, you hype up the video, and you send it to 2 or 3 people. If you do that, that's why we continue to grow, no matter how unpopular this may appear to be. But the goal is with these types of conversations for us to just be allowed to talk again, be allowed to think again, be allowed to just, even go back and forth and disagree respectfully. And my job of many things, I think, and with running this channel is just to introduce the taboo, bring up the things that we haven't been allowed to talk about, aren't allowed to express, aren't allowed to discuss publicly. So I'm going to be super excited because I think this episode and beyond, especially these interviews that's lined up for this week, the types of guests that I brought, that I got lucky enough to get for this week, y'all are going to love it. So tonight, obviously, I'm going to introduce her in a second. Tomorrow, we have the legend himself, Tommy Sotomayor, and so, Tommy. And then lastly, we have Philosophical. He's going to be on Thursday. So, and then Friday, my hope and goal, y'all, is to very quickly put myself in a position to where I can hopefully have that episode ready to go. But y'all, without further ado, because when y'all tune in for these interviews, I know y'all not looking and waiting for me. So I'm going to jump into my now famous interviews, and then hopefully you guys can give her a warm welcome as she's here. So tonight's guest has been making a name for herself from political circles to the music industry and even content creation. She has been a songwriter for some of the biggest names in music, a frequent panelist on one of the fastest growing podcasts with Anton Daniels, and has made a name for herself as an outspoken conservative woman that can hold her own when discussing politics surrounded by liberals. She is the host of Red Cup Talks, and she is the one and the only PopCulture Micca. What's going on?
I love it.
All right.
What's going on? I love that intro. Thank you.
Listen, I'm getting better at these intros because when I started, it was rough. It was rough. So
I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Listen, thank you for sliding through.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't familiar, Micca actually just happened to randomly pop on the video of me meeting and doing an interview with Dave Anderson. And just like that, it was last week, and I was like, man, I would love for you to come on. And you see how people they're just coming to the channel naturally. Like, so thank you for coming, genuinely. And make sure all of y'all, again, when we end this live rather, make sure you all follow her different pages. She'll let you know where to find her at the end of today's interview. But Micca, we're gonna kind of get started. So before we actually jump into like the crazy politics of what's happening here and even abroad, why don't you first let folks know a little bit about your career journey and more so like how it is that people even are starting to know who you are?
All right. Well, you guys, my name is Micca. Most call me Pop Culture Micca. And that's because literally I do and talk about everything pop culture. How I got into politics is because in the music industry or any industry that I was actually working in, I literally would be talking about politics. And I kind of got into it, just on a whim, really, because I would go and talk to different people, and people would say, "Well, can you come on and bring your different perspective?" And I would be like, "Okay." And then after a while, I'm just like, I might as well start my own podcast and talk about
Mhm.
what I'm talking about anyway. So that's really how I got into it. But I was mostly in the music industry doing songwriting, my own stuff, my own music. And, I love the music industry, but it's a lot of politics involved in that as well.
I'm sure. I'm
So
sure.
I tend to talk about that. And, politics in America and everything to me is popular culture because it affects the culture.
Mhm. Listen, yeah, I appreciate it. So, in fact, let's just jump straight into politics. So, it seems like, and for those who don't know, you have no problem proudly identifying as a conservative. When did you decide to identify as a conservative, and what's it been like navigating a lot of black and brown spaces with people who may feel the exact opposite politically than you?
Well, I I guess I would say I only started to really call myself a conservative maybe within the last, I don't know, probably 3 years, 4 years. Anytime before that is just that my values pretty much align with being a conservative. But outside
Mhm,
of that, you know, uh, these spaces that are, liberal, conservative, I pay no attention to that. I pay attention to what, people are talking about, what's going on in the space. So it really doesn't matter to me if they're, liberal or conservative. I still talk the same exact way. I
mhm,
still tell the truth about liberals and conservatives,
mhm,
black
mhm,
or white. I tell the truth about them all. So
mhm,
I don't really have a how should I say? I don't really have a preference on where to be, and I don't really get put out of anywhere. Like there's no place people will invite me or
mhm,
wouldn't invite me because I tend to respect everybody's viewpoints, but I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or
mhm.
not. So
So for many like non-white Americans, those that voted for Donald Trump, Republicans, and anybody who's deemed as being a person of color, whether they're biracial or whatever, if they find out that like you voted for Donald Trump or just that you identify as a Republican or in your case identify as a conservative or just simply didn't even vote for Kamala Harris.
mhm.
I feel like a lot of times they're all seen as sellouts. What are your thoughts about this? And I guess the part two would be like, who would be actually in your mind the actual sellouts if it's not the people that everybody who thinks didn't vote for Kamala Harris and who voted for Donald Trump are sellouts? Like who like what do you think about all this whole sellout Uncle Tom Coon, stuff like that?
Ooh, that's a lot. Well, I'll
Mhm,
tell you this much. I have a saying, I think the sellouts are the people that stroll to the polls, pretty much. Okay. Anybody that, stroll to the polls behind a race, AKA, anything that has a identity with it, right?
mhm,
Because there were no policies. That woman literally had no policies at all. Okay. I don't care who it was for, not America, not black, not white, nobody.
mhm,
And so, with that being said, I couldn't understand why, anybody, let alone a person of color, would go and vote for this woman. Um,
mhm,
and navigating the space, being a quote unquote non-white,
mhm,
I think it's been pretty easy because I don't care. Right?
mhm.
Like, there are
Yeah.
a lot of people that agree with what I am saying, okay? I get it in my inbox all the time, celebrities, basketball, football, women, right? That
Mhm.
didn't agree or don't agree with the Democratic Party, but they can't say it.
Mm.
And so, it's
Black
not
women
it
too.
yes.
Black
A
women,
lot a
even
lot of
you.
black women, a lot of black women, somebody like Monique, right? She got all that flack for saying, "Hey, black women, stop going to the airport with these bonnets on,"
Mhm,
right? And black women, the liberal ones anyway, they have this whole thing of respectability politics, and you can't judge me, and yes, I can. I absolutely can. So I will, and I did. And so, but when you speak out, they try to, say, well, we're going to cancel you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And a lot of people care about being canceled. A lot of people care about that.
Mm, mhm,
I
mhm,
don't. I absolutely
mhm.
don't care about being canceled. And I absolutely don't care about, people wanting to push back. I actually think that that's good,
I
right? I
agree.
actually like the fact that people are trying to be more engaged in, popular culture and politics. I like that. But, I would like if they actually read
Yeah,
also.
that helps a lot, when we try to have these conversations. You had what did you say? The I've noticed that they'll use a lot of trigger words to try
Yes.
to control other people's behavior, and one of those what did you just say? Oh, it was about, you just said it, and it was in reference to, like, them trying to keep you from, like, stepping out of line and, like, you gotta stay and it's just interesting. It'll come to me. Real quick, well, one person said, and this is funny, I'm telling Anton, I wonder what they gonna tell him. I want maybe it's because 'cause you're here. Yeah, y'all don't need to get me on Anton bad side. The dude, I don't even know if he's aware that my channel
They are
exists.
hilarious. I can't go nowhere. It's so funny. Y'all are hilarious. Shout out to the back chasers. It's just the fact that a lot of black women, I call them the 92%, right?
Okay.
Because it's a good 8% of us that don't care anything about what the liberals are talking about.
Mhm,
But the 92%, they literally will try to put you in a bag, right?
mhm,
You can't step out of it. You're in a box. You can't do anything. And I just don't care about that. And so
mm.
because I don't care, I don't have a fear of what I want to say. I talk about Ratchet Crockett. I'm sorry, Jasmine Crockett. I'm sorry. This is not my show.
Nah, you
Um,
you good.
I talk about Jasmine Crockett. I talk about Stacey Abrams, because poor Stacey, she has been passed up 1,001 times.
Yeah.
And she keeps having to go out there and stump, but
Mhm,
yet they
mhm,
won't pick the black woman. They like to pick the Indian lady with the greens.
mhm.
Shocker.
So, and it came back to me actually. So,
Mhm.
pick me, respectability politics,
Oh, yes.
and it was crazy is like what I've learned watching enough liberals and quite frankly, this is definitely in terms of respectability politics,
Yeah.
liberal men and liberal women seem to have equated like uh treating people respectfully, moving with class, with not being rude or ignorant or belligerent in public or towards each other is now respectability politics. I'm like, whoa, like how do we go from you could do whatever you want no matter how ratchet or crazy it is to if anybody says anything about it, oh, that's just respectability politics. You just like are we so
Yes.
jaded and traumatized to where
Yes.
anything
Yes.
positive am I crazy?
No, that it's exactly everything that you're about to say, will say, have said. Yeah, it's absolutely that, because respectability politics is another way of saying you can't check me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all that is. You can't check me. You can't say anything. Chavis. You can't say anything. You can't tell me what to do. And they do this. It's a form of gaslighting. All right.
Mhm.
It's a form of gaslighting to make you feel guilty. Okay. And I
Mm.
absolutely don't feel guilty about anything I have to say, because if I said it, I've thought about it. And yeah, I'm pretty much going to stand on it. A lot of people, though, like I say, they are concerned about having a separation from a group of people, right?
Mhm.
No matter what that group is, they have a anxiety about separating from that group. I don't have that anxiety, because I feel the people that are going to hang with me, or the people that are going to support me, are going to support me. So
Yeah.
why try to reach a group that don't like what I'm saying anyway?
Yeah, it took me until officially 2024 to
Mhm.
find I had been like I started back in let's say 2012, 2014.
Uh-huh.
That was right around the time period where I started to have more questions. I had voted for Obama the first time and I was just becoming more I think I was 18 when I voted for him. So I'm a little bit older.
Okay.
I'm learning, I'm asking questions, and it seemed like damn near every single person I knew that voted for him,
Mhm.
when I'm bringing, they knew I voted for him too the first time. And as I'm bringing up some concerns, oh, that's Uncle Tom, and it's this and it's that. And I was like, well, maybe I'm confused, but aren't we allowed to be critical of like public servants who are supposed to be servicing us? Like,
Yeah,
and it was early then that I started to realize there was an issue. I'm still going to protests. I'm still down with the cause. I'm just doing all this stuff. But every time I notice, people loved when I had something to say about Republicans. They love what I had to say about Trump. They love what I had to say about George Bush, conservatives, white supremacy, all the talking points. If I hit on and if I saw it and believed it was a legit criticism, they loved it.
mhm,
But the moment I tried to do it on the left, like I couldn't believe it. I was like, these are people who I grew up with. These are people who know me. And it was shocking to see them distance themselves and judge and ostracize and stay and move away from people they knew for years for a politician that didn't even know they exist.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
The tolerant left is not so tolerant,
I'm
right?
realizing that.
The people that are for everybody are not for everybody. I mean, you have
Mhm.
Barack Obama out there in Virginia, and I'm from DC, right? And I still currently live in the DC area. And the thing about it is, being black matters, or being a person of color matters until you're up against a white liberal, especially a white woman. Okay.
Mm,
So if you're up against a white liberal woman, you have absolutely positively no chance, because the Democratic Party is built exactly for that. Okay. All
yeah.
that feminism and all that has absolutely nothing to do with women of color. And
Mhm.
so, and it's sad because a lot of women of color fall for it every time. Every wave of
Mm,
feminism has been, women of color getting out and about. And with Kamala, um, a lot of women of color, equated her to Shirley Chisholm, but they forget that when Shirley Chisholm ran, a lot of white women didn't come out and support her. The feminists, all of that, they didn't come out and support her because they really don't care. So
mm.
for a group of people to go out and stomp for people that haven't done anything for you, since the 60s, I have absolutely no idea why this is so.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. When people tell me the Republican Party is this or that and the third, I say,
Uh-huh.
okay, forget the Republican Party. Tell
Uh-huh.
me what the Democratic Party has done. And they go back to before you, I, their mamas, everybody was born. And
Mhm.
and they can't even use that really, because that was a Republican idea. So I'm just like, outside of civil rights,
Mhm.
what do you got? Absolutely nothing.
It's one of the strange things that I've noticed, and I realize this now,
Yeah.
with the books that we're reading from Orwell, talking about trying to, work, trying to be educated myself, and also see my audience get more educated as we're starting to read more,
Mhm.
collaborating more, talking more about these types of things. It's been wildly earth shattering for me. And again, I realized this a few years ago, but I'm now seeing it on the podcast and just with the content that's being released. I really, really believed
Mhm.
that the smartest people overwhelmingly was on the left. I really believed it. I went to school. I just assumed that, yeah, all these people are getting degrees and this and
Oh,
that.
they definitely have the most degrees
Yeah, and
in
and, and then I
in basket weaving, and and braiding hair studies, and me LGBT plus QI carry the one studies. They don't have anything in anything practical, anything logical, any STEM fields, right?
yeah,
And
it's so
and
bizarre.
they
Yeah.
always think that anybody outside of the left um is not educated, right? And they think this because most on the right or in the middle don't spend their money and time going to these universities where they don't learn anything anyway. Because we all
Mhm,
know that trade is what moves the economy, because
mhm,
that's what they're complaining about right now. Oh,
Hmm.
there's no jobs. There are jobs. You just don't know how to do them because you don't have any skills. You
You know
have
what?
degrees.
And what's crazy is, we'll get to the whole
Mhm.
gender war craziness nonsense, if there even is one in your opinion. But I had noticed, and this is when I realized how bad the propaganda and indoctrination was, particularly as it relates to like the media and the celebrities that they pay to do these, to tell people certain messages or whatever. It was when I started to notice it with Trump,
Mhm.
where the things that they were hyping up, the things that they were making a really big deal, were never a big deal with previous presidents. It just was
Absolutely.
like, it wasn't like and actually we'll jump on it now. Deportations, illegal immigration, like the sheer amount of deportations, of returns, of stopping people at the border, like, and the sheer amount of people who didn't go through due process back then. It's like people weren't even aware of it. Most people that weren't Hispanic weren't even aware of how many people were getting deported, how many people were being sent out without due process, the cages, all this stuff. Everything was like, oh, this started with Trump. That was what they've been told, and that's what they were thinking. What's your honest to God, especially with your background? And you have you're Hispanic in your background, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, my dad's side of the family is Cuban.
Please
Um,
tell me, because the belief I think is, what, like, I can already imagine people that are watching this is like, how can you be Hispanic and be pro Trump and pro addressing illegal immigration via deportations? Please explain this to people who think it's impossible for somebody to believe this and not be self-hating.
yeah, I am pro this because here's the thing. You have to understand, to have a country, you have to have rules, laws, regulations, and immigration is one of the biggest things that
Mhm.
you need to have a grip on. I am American, born in America. I am American. Okay. My family's American, all of that. However, when it comes to illegal immigration, people tend to believe that anybody that's Hispanic or Latino, that they just, automatically, care about illegals. And I'm just like, no,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, when you look at resources that all different types of groups are pretty much fighting for,
Mhm.
resources, and um, when it comes down to wanting to be, in business, small businesses, things like that. A lot of the Hispanic community depends on those types of resources. So when you have people coming in illegally, undercutting these different types of businesses that they build up legally,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
you mess up a community. Now, for some reason, I don't know why the Black community hasn't figured this out yet, but now they are in Chicago, right? They're
Yeah.
figuring it out really fast because it
They
has
almost flipped it, by the way, this
yeah,
most previous
it
election.
has affected that community because when you bring in a group that doesn't assimilate, okay, and they undercut, what people normally there would, get paid, or what they would normally do for jobs. You displace people, you displace the children, when it comes to schooling, when it comes to actively being able to um start off at entry level jobs. You have
Mhm.
grown adults from other countries working these jobs. Because
Yeah.
when I was growing up, McDonald's
Mhm.
was a place that a teen could go as a summer job, was a place that, if you wanted to start maybe in the restaurant business, you could do that. The adult was the manager.
Yep. Yep.
And now it's, everybody from Guatemala. So
Mhm.
it's just like, it's like, where do you not see this as a problem? On top of that, these companies don't have to pay for certain types of insurances. The regulation goes down, it drives everything down. So yeah,
Listen.
it
Yeah.
affects everything, including, the bottom,
Yeah.
especially the bottom, or
And
anybody that's on the bottom.
this the crazy part of what you're saying. And I hope this is as clear, because again, I share clips a lot of times. I actually don't talk a lot about deportation and illegal immigration, but I hope when I say this is as clear as possible. There's this great debate amongst white people, or particularly white men, when it comes to the great replacement theory. Their
Mhm.
belief system is that open borders and DEI and all these different things have been put into place in Western countries to try to remove as many white men as possible from power and replace them with women and everybody else, right? If you take that concept of the great replacement theory, when they open up the borders and they let millions of people to flood in from, I think it's 170 or 150 different countries, and they don't ship them to the suburbs, they don't ship them to the Midwest in the sense of like rural areas.
Mhm.
They are only shipping them to cities and areas where poor Black and brown people live. And
And
in the
who would
belief
that
system,
be?
is not only are we just going to let them do this, but we're
Uh-huh.
also going to give them benefits. We're going to give them access to housing, food, shelter. We're going to give them all these entitlements. We're going to give them access to subsidies for healthcare. And then
Housing.
in the thought process of everybody that's like, they need to stay. We don't need borders. Borders aren't real. Question. Did you ever wonder why politicians that don't deliver for your community would be
Mhm.
willing to deliver for a whole nother community? And do you think they're just going to do this indefinitely without any expectations of getting anything back in return? You don't think that this could potentially be because of trying to change the census numbers,
Yeah, absolutely.
trying to so that and change their status to get them in a position where a future president could be able to make sure that they're allowed to stay and then make sure that they're allowed to be able to vote? And my question is, if they're moving them in the very area where you all are living, where a lot of where the most disenfranchised and the most vulnerable Black people live, they're giving them access to resources that they most of y'all can't afford a house. They're coming from another country and being able to move in and getting rent assistance.
Say it.
So my
Eh,
question is, if they're willing to do that for them and not you,
Mhm.
what do you think the long-term implications are? Because me and Dave just talked about it. If the
Oh, yeah.
last election, if the overwhelming percentage of Black people voted for candidate A and candidate B won all the swing states, won the popular vote, and across the board, he's won in every other demographic and made inroads in every demographic, but the Black community, which he did a little bit with men. Maybe this is an indication that if they're moving in millions of people over here, funding their lifestyle, paying for them, they're willing to shut down the government to make sure they can take care of them with health insurance. And y'all think that they're not trying to replace your vote.
They're absolutely trying to replace your vote.
Mm-hmm.
One, they know the gravy train is going to end at some point. All right,
Mm-hmm.
but they're absolutely trying to replace the population, right?
Yeah.
In this type of climate of a society, you need a serf class, okay?
Yeah.
And what better way to have a serf class than to bring in a group of people that don't speak the language, that won't really buck the system because they
Mm-hmm.
don't know the system. Okay, all they know is right now I get free this, free that, and
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, it's a win-win for them, right? They get to make more than they were getting in pesos in Central America, and they get to live a better quality of life, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't have to deal with this group of people that's been begging, 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 begging for almost 100 years,
Mm-hmm.
and now they're starting to get a little uppity on me, because that's how the liberals label it. Okay, uppity. They're starting to get a little uppity on me, and now I might actually have to do something for them, right? They
Yeah.
might require me to do something for their vote. So yes, I'm going to not only replace them, I'm going to also replace the class that I don't like, right? Because
Mm.
people people think it's only about, race. It's also about class. Okay. They're trying to eliminate the middle class.
Yeah.
Just eliminate it. It's
And the
more
way
about
you,
class than
yeah.
anything.
So the way you do it is you move people from other countries who have a lower standard of living and what they're
Yep.
used to and what they're willing to accept into the very areas where the most vulnerable are, and then
Yeah.
give them the jobs,
Yes.
give them the
Yeah.
opportunities while jobs are being outsourced,
Yes.
while the cost of living is going up. and take the tax dollars from those
And
cities.
if you don't agree, you have no compassion. You're racist. You're it happened to you. It happened during slavery. How could you not want these people here? It's
Mhm.
absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And the main, if you look at it, let's take California,
Yes.
right? California, if I swear to goodness, if I hear California bring up reparations one more time, I'm gonna have to stick myself with a
They had
pen.
slaves in California. What
California
about
has
you?
studied it, has put it in a petri dish. Okay,
Mhm.
they have done anything you can do to figure out how to give reparations, I guess. And the thing about it is, they'll
Mm.
bring it up for a vote, knock it down. Okay, and this is the Black Caucus. They'll bring
Yep.
it up for a vote, knock it down. Black people get all yay, and then knock it down, right? And
Mhm.
that's because they know the Democrats know how to emotionally trigger you. You're still, hanging on to something that the Democrats have promised. This HR 40, out there with bullheaded Ayanna Priestley, right?
Yep.
Ayanna
Yep.
Priestley does all that, oh, we're Sheila Jackson Lee.
Mhm.
We're gonna bring this back up in the House and get this passed, talking about reparations. And she
Mhm.
knows she's not gonna do anything. But
Yeah,
they
it's
know
crazy.
how to trigger the emotions of Black people. And
Yeah,
they do
yeah.
this on purpose so they can continue to get a rise out of you. But they know eventually you will smarten up. So they need to have a class to replace you.
Yeah, that's gonna feel indebted and feeling like, well, if they're giving us all these incentives and the Republicans are the ones that want to take it away, if they can get us to stay, they've guaranteed our loyalty for at least the next 10 to 20 years. That
The
that's
Democratic
that's
Party
the
doesn't
message.
have they don't have the middle class to poor white vote. They don't have that anymore. Okay.
Mhm.
So they
Mhm.
can't depend on that. So all they have now, really, honestly and truly, is the Black vote.
Yeah, it's liberal white women and black women at this point that's kind of carrying the party.
I wouldn't even
And
bet on them. Because
yeah,
let
well,
me tell you,
the
white
thing is
women, they are the sneakiest. They
liberal white
will
women
vote
will
with
switch
it.
up.
They
We've
will
seen them
vote.
switch up. Yeah, we've seen them switch up multiple times. And I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all, okay. Y'all
You
keep
gotta
listening
watch
to
them.
people outside the community telling you how oppressed you are, how hard you have it, who's the enemy. Y'all listen to them. Y'all do everything they say. And
Absolutely.
the outcomes are less marriages, higher divorce rates, kids having all all our outcomes are worse in our community. The quality of life, the wealth is dropping, and because you got the job you want, and you call yourself a boss, babe. I heard a saying, and it's going to sound sad what I'm about to say. They were saying like black women would rather lead in hell than serve in heaven.
Absolutely. As long as they have nobody telling them what to do. The 92% does
Come on, y'all.
not want to listen to anybody. The crazy
Come on.
thing about it is they fuss about the patriarchy, but just like everybody else, the white woman splits her vote. Okay?
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
conservative white women
Mhm.
and then there are liberal whites.
Yeah.
And if you think that they're still not intangibly hand in hand
Mhm.
working together, you're
Mhm.
absolutely out your mind. Okay?
I got
They
a
have
question.
different they
Go
have
ahead, go ahead.
different political, views and different
Mhm.
political stances, but they still at a high rate white women are married. They have
Yeah,
families,
still.
right?
They still go home to the men that they tell you to hate. They stay with their men far more than y'all are willing to, and they're telling you all, and it's the all right.
It's the
One thing
wildest
I got
thing
there's
ever.
so much I want to say to this. So reimagine. We're gonna do a thought like a little for everybody that's watching. If you're currently still self-identifying, I personally don't care if you want to identify as Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. I personally don't care. But I will say this about those that's on the left.
Mhm.
If you think that the people who are the highest up don't believe that they own you and own your vote, if you really believe like, oh, I'm free, I can vote for whoever I want. I can say whatever I want. If you really believe that as a Democrat, as a liberal, I challenge you to go onto social media and say on video or type something that says along the lines of 2 to 3 things that you felt Kamala Harris Joe Biden or Barack Obama did wrong, because nobody's perfect. So it should be
Mhm.
very easy for you to do that. Post it. See what happens. If you so free, you should, if you're so free, you should have no issues with all the people that's, like you said, Micca, so loving, so accepting, the diversity of, we love diversity. What you're going to learn and discover is that there is no diversity of thought.
Absolutely
They,
not.
they tell you what to think. They'll tell you what counts as a woman today. They tell you, when Barack Obama was doing deportations, they told you don't even worry about it. When somebody else is doing it, now it's time to worry about it.
Yep.
They've conditioned you to tell you what to care about and when to care about it. A lot of y'all that's bringing up Gaza now wasn't bringing up Gaza the last 4
You
years.
don't know anything about they don't know
Y'all
anything
wasn't
about
bring y'all
Gaza.
wasn't bring y'all did not care. A lot of y'all did not care about what's happening in Gaza for the last 4 years. I distinctly remember folks saying during the election, this is not the time. This is not the time. This is not the time to bring up what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is doing and what they're supporting. It's not the time to bring it up. As soon as Trump walked through the door, when you going to address Gaza? When you going to, y'all, come on. So real quick, I got to give a shout out to
Oh,
my boy, the business bully Dave Anderson. Shout out to him for
what's up,
sliding through.
Dave?
So real quick, y'all, if you haven't done so, because it seems like there's a lot more newer people that's starting to pop in, make sure you like this video. If you haven't liked it, make sure you send it to 2 or 3 people. I think this is just a very interesting, dope conversation that we can
Yes.
start to hear things from just a slightly different perspective for sure. So, question.
Mhm.
Obviously the government shut down. It's one
Okay.
of the big things that I see on the panel with you all, with Anton. Y'all all are arguing, debating about. Tell me your
Mhm.
honest opinion about what's the cause of the government being shut down and the spending bill not being passed. Because I'm going to tell you this,
Mhm.
my short little life, I distinctly remember every single time there was a president and he had the majority, the group that had the minority and they needed a few of their votes, if they refused to sign the CR, if they refused to sign the spending bill, the assumption in the way that the news always covered it is that if the majority is putting up a bill and a small minority is holding the bill up because they know they have the leverage, they are seen as the cause of the spending bill, of the government being shut down. Is that an accurate way of looking at it normally?
Go ahead and say it. Barack said it to the Republicans, and that is exactly what was happening. And the
So hold it.
Republicans
So
had
hold
to
on. Just
go ahead
what you
and
said.
give it up,
What you said.
when they were the minority.
So you're saying, because I'm positive I'm not in the twilight zone.
Absolutely.
When Barack Obama was in office and the Republicans were holding up bills to get approved
Yes.
and the government was shutting down multiple times, the assumption was the blame was the Republicans.
It was the Republicans, and they would say that he damn near verbatim said, "Hey, look, we can argue about this, but guess what? You shouldn't hold the rest of the country hostage." All right. And the Republicans were getting pushback, as they should have been,
Mhm,
because your job is to argue these, points and things out. However, you don't hold up the entire uh, government and things that, we have to pay for
mhm,
just so you can get, leverage on something. That's not how this works. And so I don't even like Obama, but on that fact, I would agree, just like I agree now. It's
mhm,
just the fact that now that Washington and everybody associated with the left or anything outside of the right or the middle, they have TDS. So anything, they will make it seem like it's Donald Trump when Donald Trump has nothing to do with it. Donald Trump is not in
mhm,
Congress, and Donald Trump doesn't have, any leverage over that. And
mhm,
so
mhm,
you gotta wonder why it's always thrown that way. But
mhm,
the Democrats at this point, they have such a low approval rating. They have such a low a low standard amongst American people. They're just trying, they're just throwing things at the wall. At this point, they're just throwing eggs and they're just trying to make something stick because they don't
Mhm,
have a message. They don't have anything going on. But let's be clear.
mhm,
Everything you hear a Democrat talk about that Donald Trump is doing, they have done.
mm,
Absolutely
mm.
have done. Democrats play a dirty game of I forgot I said that. I forgot I did that. When it
Yeah.
comes to immigration, when it comes to spending bills, when it
Mhm.
comes to
Tariffs. Like, and the crazy part is the internet
anything.
exists. The internet exists.
I say that
We
all the time when when they talk about Donald Trump and this immigration and people not getting due process. I'm like, well, Obama got sued plenty of times by the ACLU. I'm just
Yes.
saying. They'll be
Yes.
like, yeah, but they got due process. And they
No,
don't
they
have
didn't.
illegals do not get due process.
Hold on,
Illegals
y'all.
get a process. A
Hold
process is
Mhm.
different from due process. You have to be a citizen to get that. And so
Alright.
all they did was not make this a criminal process so they don't fill the jail up with all these asylum seekers.
Mhm.
It's an
Mhm.
administrative process, but it's still a illegal. I don't understand what people don't get about that, but I guess they listen to Ratchet Crockett with, just because you commit a crime, you're not a criminal. So
At this point, like, it's the strangest thing because I know in their personal everyday lives, they lock their car doors, they have locks and alarms in their homes, et cetera, et cetera. Like, across the board, they know what rules are, they know what standards are, they know what privacy is, they know what happens if they do something illegal themselves. But then when somebody else from another country comes in and is doing something literally illegal, I'm like, I don't think y'all understand that and you mentioned it earlier, in order for a nation state to exist,
mhm.
you have to have a border. You
Yeah,
have to enforce it.
Mexico has a border. Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Eric. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
in order to have a country, you have to have a border. Mexico has some of the strictest
Absolutely.
immigration laws. Okay, and right now they're deporting all of the gringos. Okay,
Mhm.
that includes the black ones. Okay,
Yeah.
they're deporting you because a lot of them came down there during COVID. They
Mhm.
found out
Mhm.
it was cheaper to live down there. It's right across the Rio Grande. I can
Yep.
just go on down there, and if I need to come back to America, I can, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, no problem. Well, why don't they want them there? Because they're changing the culture. What
Yep.
used to be Spanish signs are now in English.
Mhm.
So the population that was there, they can't read the signs. Okay. Things are becoming higher because American dollars are more than a pesos,
Yep.
right? So you change the culture. You're down there changing what people can afford. So now you have inflation, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I understand why they would want you out of their country. On
Yeah.
top of that, they've been kicking other migrants out. They don't want the Haitians there. They don't want the El Salvadorians
Venezuelans.
there. They don't want the
Yep.
yes. They don't want the same thing you don't want. But then you have what's her name, Shia Bomb or whatever her name is,
Mhm.
telling you that what we are doing is racist. You can't make it up. Only in America will they tell
So
you
when
this.
so when Mexicans kick out people that aren't supposed to be in Mexico, they're not racist. But
Oh
when
no,
we or people in the UK, here, Canada are starting to say, hey, this is becoming too much. We can't, this is unsustainable. Cost of living is exploding. We can't keep taking our tax dollars and reallocating it to everybody, but pouring it back into US citizens. That's just normal, basic economics 101. And it's like when you say that, like you said, now you're a racist, now you're a bigot, now you're a xenophobe. And I'm like,
I
y'all, all these
I'm
talking points are things they gave y'all to say. Like y'all don't even thinking about this stuff for
the
yourself.
xenophobe kills me every time because I can tell you right now, I am a smart cookie. I had never heard of that word. I was like, what? They were
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's you're a xenophobe. I said, y'all reached in the back of the dictionary to get that, or did y'all make that up? And I never knew that was a thing because to me, to say that I don't like someone's culture or race because I don't want them to illegally come somewhere that I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would just be that.
It's
So
it's
when I get stuff like that, I just say, okay, cool, I'll be that. But what I said stands. And
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
absolutely how I to me You have to be that way with these people because if you're any other way, they will steamroll you. I will say
Walk
this
all over
about the
you.
Republicans. A lot of the times, they don't do anything,
Mhm.
meaning they allow the other party, the independents, the Democrats, they allow all these people to just railroad them and everything. They lay down, they don't want to fight. This is actually the first time I've actually seen Republicans stand for anything.
It's been interesting to see because the big thing that I think that we haven't mentioned it yet, the Democrats and the left, and this is not just happening here. This is happening, I believe, in Germany, I think the UK, and potentially Sweden as well.
Mhm.
They're losing Gen Z men. They're like the Gen Z men are
Did you see what
completely.
happened in Italy?
What happened?
Because the mainstream media is not showing it.
What happened?
Italy, their citizens shut down that country. They're all in the street. They're absolutely tired of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they're all in the streets protesting it, and the liberal media will not show you. Most people don't
Wow.
even know what's going on right now. They've stopped working. They're just all in the street, and it's because they're tired of what's going on. They're trying to promote all these agendas over there in Europe, and they're just pushing these young boys to actually stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
It's
and
it's
so
it's
I
more
give Gen
religious.
Z that. I give Gen
Yeah.
Z that.
More
They're
more
absolutely
religious
pushing
right
back.
now. The boys, the men are becoming much more religious right now. They're leaning much more conservatively.
Absolutely.
And they're just not having it. And I think the reason why is because they didn't have this period of time. I think a lot of millennials and, and,
Millennials, yeah.
and older generations did, where they
Mhm.
had this period of time where men and women weren't so adversarial, where there wasn't this crazy ass clash, right? And
Mhm.
and there wasn't as much of a noticeable vitriol and hatred towards masculinity, boys, feminizing the culture in the mental health field, the education field. Everything is about, if you're a man, you can't have opinions on certain things. You
Absolutely.
can't speak on women and their behaviors. And it's like, and you have to vote the way the women in your life think you should vote. It's
Mhm.
like Gen Z is like, all they've known is that they're seen as wrong and evil, and they're what's wrong in culture and society in the world.
Yeah.
So their lens is like, we spent 20 years of hearing this already. We're not listening to y'all anymore. And I think that's what's happening.
Well, uh-huh.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I was just getting ready to say, it has to self-correct at some point, right? And
Mhm.
and it's so bad that it's doing a very overcorrection. And I'll say this, Gen Z boys absolutely see the nonsense that the baby boomers, right,
Mhm.
have tolerated. Um, Gen X and millennials, millennials, we we have to be one of the worst generations for just, I mean, everything. Anything and everything. We were just like, okay, sure. Yeah, let's try
Mhm.
it. What can happen? What's the worst? Right. And I
Mhm.
think just by seeing all of those generations, Gen Z is just like, I no, we've had it. We've absolutely had it. And young
Mhm.
boys are at the bottom. They're
Wow.
at the bottom. They're at the
Yeah.
bottom of everything that you can think about.
And they're being told that they're at the top. This is the crazy part, because it's like, if the patriarchy is so over encompassing and so powerful, and yet simultaneously DEI was in full effect over here. And I'll give you all an example, right?
Mhm.
So for the last 5-6 years, I had to report data to the city,
Okay.
uh, in terms of like nonprofit work. I had to report data to the city, and this was the answers I had to report. I actually had to report this yesterday again for last year's fiscal cycle. So I've done this 5-6 years in a row. They ask how many women do we have? They ask how many minorities do we have? And they ask people who have potential disabilities, do we have? So if you're not a minority and if you're not a woman, they're not factoring in at all you in the equation of whether or not you're meeting any type of quote unquote quota or satisfaction that meets the demands of the city or local or federal government. That's what that was meaning. So if we've had to report that data, think of it this way. If you have 3 kids and you walk in the house and you say, "Hey kids," and you go to each kid, 2 of the 3 kids, and you ask them what do they want to eat.
Mhm.
And the third kid, you don't ask them nothing.
Yeah.
And then you come back with food for the 2 kids and not kid number 3. You don't get to look at kid number 3 and say you don't deserve it just like we do, or your needs don't matter. You're not treating them all equally. Equitable, the whole equity, equal thing. Remember that? You're
But they don't want equality. Okay? The feminazis, they don't want equality. What they want is they want to have the outcome,
Mhm,
right? They don't want the opportunity, right?
mhm,
Because the
mhm,
opportunity is just saying, okay, allow me the opportunity to try, to let me in, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
and I'll show you on my merit.
mhm,
They want the outcome as well. So that's where DEI comes in and says, well, you may not get into school because you're smart, but I'll just put you here because of this, that, and the third.
mhm,
That is
mhm.
what they want. They want the outcome and they're getting it. The problem is now, and this kind of boils into the whole gender war thing,
Yeah,
right? What's happening is you're socially changing gender roles, but you can't change it naturally.
correct.
So naturally, a woman would want a man to lead, and naturally, a woman wants to be protected and provided for. But
Mm,
because you want to be a boss, okay,
mhm,
you get up and you go to work every day. So now,
mm.
when he's saying 50-50, you're like, oh, what happened to protecting and providing?
Y'all took the 50 in
You
the workplace.
wanted to protect and provide.
Y'all took the
So, we
50.
both go protect and provide.
This is wild. This is wild. So real quick, I wanted to show you this because this is funny. Person says, "Why don't y'all wear MAGA hats so we don't have to question where your allegiance lies? Politics is not y'all's lane, but the audacity to say you don't care to offer influence is rich." So I'll let you respond to that too, and I'll speak to it for myself first. For why I don't have a MAGA hat. Um, Now, you all are going to hate me with what I'm about to say because I don't think although I'm registered as a Green Party person, I didn't say who I voted for in 2024 for this election. I voted third party personally. Now, oh, you wasted your vote. Da, 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 da.
Absolutely not.
If my
Yeah.
standard, if my foundational rule,
Mhm,
my morals
mhm,
related to what I perceived was war crimes,
mhm,
and I believed that the previous people that were in charge, the previous administration was in charge, was heavily contributing to said war crimes globally.
mhm,
And my perception is that probably would not change based off of both endorsements and money that was being raised and collected from various sources to both candidates.
mhm. I can understand.
If I have integrity and say the reason why I can't vote for Kamala Harris is based on that reason. And I don't believe, based off of who's funding certain campaigns, what their agendas are, and what they stand for, that that's going to potentially change over the next year or two if Donald Trump wins.
Mhm,
If I'm basing it on that moral,
mhm,
that standard, then I have to be consistent. If the reason why I couldn't vote for Joe Biden and the reason why I couldn't vote for Kamala Harris is the very same thing that continued to happen, and I believed it was going to continue to happen,
mhm,
even under Donald Trump's administration,
mhm,
partially because I believe both of them didn't have nearly as much say to be able to say no, but that's a different conversation for a different day.
mhm.
Then that means I'm trying to maintain integrity.
I get you. Mhm.
What I'm not going to do is say, everything that Donald Trump does is evil. But if the people I like, vote, and support do it as well, it's not evil.
Absolutely.
So that's
And
so for all y'all that keep thinking the hat is obviously a spin on the MAGA hat. I get it. But y'all gotta get out this mindset that like if you don't support the candidate I like, or support this Indian woman that they keep telling us is black, or support this guy who is the walking dead and they saying he's perfectly healthy and fine. If I don't support your delusion,
mhm,
that therefore I'm instantly automatically MAGA, or B, that I'm now just trying to suck it up and worship the white man. I know this is hard for y'all to believe, but like it's only on the liberal side
yeah.
that they believe that black people are only allowed to believe, think, and vote a certain way. Nobody else functions this way in the rest of the country. Nobody else
Absolutely.
does. So you can go
Absolutely.
ahead and say your response to that.
Well, absolutely. They would never go and ask, the white man if he's MAGA or not, right? Because he's allowed that freedom. Same with white women. All right.
Mm,
Uh the thing about it is though, I did vote for Donald Trump and I would vote again. Okay.
mhm.
And for the problem that people seem to miss is the fact that last time I checked, I was free. So I can vote for who I want to, right?
They don't think
And
that.
the
They don't
last
think
time
that.
I checked, I should vote my family's interests, correct?
Mhm,
Well, I live in the state of Maryland and I'm tired of being overtaxed. And I don't know where the money is going because the roads are trash. We don't have any infrastructure, none new. Okay, it's taken them 1,100 years to fix a bridge or even start, doing certain things with that. There's so much corruption here. The
mhm,
schools are trash. I can go on and on and on and on. Right. And so, with that being said, I can see in my own backyard that Democrats don't do anything. Why would I put them in the highest house in the land? I would not. I would never. So, with that being said, you
mhm,
have to go with what is actually the most logical and economic based truth for you.
mm,
Now, a lot of people that vote Democrat,
mhm.
they don't vote Democrat just because they think they're going to get free stuff. Because up until the illegals, what were they giving you? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
If it was a Republican in office, you had welfare. If it was Democrats in office, you had welfare. So you
Mhm,
can't even use any of those. The thing about it is they gave you something that they don't like that MAGA has. And they gave you slogans, hope and change, this, that, and the third, right? Something
mhm.
that you can hold on to and believe in. And that's that's where most go wrong.
I
Because
listen.
I'm
I know
telling
they.
you right now, that's
Uh,
what they are holding on to. They're only holding on to belief that there's nothing there economically or anything there that's actually doing something for your family.
Man. So real quick. Because I we've been talking heavily about politics, and it
Yep.
does relate briefly the gender war. We kind of briefly touched on it.
Mhm.
What the hell is going on with men and women in this country when it comes to the so-called gender war? And and especially in terms of, and is politics connected to this at all?
Absolutely. Politics is connected to everything. And I do mean everything. But the gender war, let's put it this way.
Mhm,
The feminists, they're going to keep pushing this, and women are just going to keep going with it. Women want to be at the top, want to be like men, don't like men, but want to be like men, right?
mhm,
But heavy is the head that wears the crown. They don't like what comes with it, right? And
mhm.
so they don't like a lot of the things they have to provide. They don't like having to be breadwinners. And when it comes down to it, they want all of the accolades without having all of the pressure and having all of I should say the drama that comes with having to be responsible for everything. So this is going to continue to go because they're I mean, even in politics, they were doing those commercials where they were saying, "Hey, you don't have to tell your husband who you were voting for." I'm like, that's splitting families at 101. And they were doing that
Yeah.
to conservative women.
Michelle was saying it as well. Michelle Obama.
Yeah. Because they know that when you have, a household, it's one vote. Okay.
Mm,
Even on the liberal side, the men were
mhm,
strolling to the polls right behind Kamala and them. Okay.
mhm,
They they
mhm,
they were I'm voting for what my woman want to vote for because she the head of the household.
mhm.
Over there on the left, most of those women are the head. So
I
they're following
believe
the head. Okay. She makes all the money. She has the big job at the government job because most women work for the government.
Mhm.
Okay. And so, and that's why, you see all this, oh, it's an attack on women. No, most of y'all just work for the government because you knew the government was pretty much going to help you with those degrees that you're not using. you know?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
with that being said, that's the reason why you have all these women propped up artificially thinking that, hey, I can do this on my own. I don't need this. I don't need that. But you're seeing right now when it comes down to it
Mhm.
that women are not able to function without the government. And that's on any level. That's on the
Mm.
poorest level to the highest level because the government is taking the place of the man.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
even when you change it artificially, it still comes back to there needs to be somebody there in a masculine role
Mhm.
supporting women. That has been the government.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had to come to grips with this as I've tried to tackle this issue and bringing up my critiques and recommendations and things that I'm noticing as far as trends. Liberal women and black women in general who obviously skew more towards the left,
Uh-huh.
that, and not just because they're democrat and they're black they think this way. It's more so about those that's bought into the feminist ideology. um I don't think they really realize a huge reason for the gender war is because I think they keep saying they want men to be leaders, but they don't want to be led. they
Absolutely.
they don't want to be led because let's do this. If overwhelmingly you all are voting one way that your men are not even meeting to that mark, and you're voting that way more than any other demographic, it's safe to say that the Democrat Party is functionally the direction and choice in the black community to vote left, to vote Democrat, is being headed by women. That's a
Yeah.
easy thing, right?
Yeah.
So politically, your men are following you. So if politically your men are following you, politically we have no power.
Nope.
Economically, we're worse off than we were prior to the Obama years in many respects, collectively. And everything's worse. If you're in the driver's seat and we're lost, we're getting in accidents, and you keep blaming the passenger and saying, why ain't they driving? Why don't your ass get out the driver's seat? Why don't your ass get out the driver's seat? Because
Now,
it's
normally
there.
I have an answer,
Please,
but
please tell me.
I could
Please
not
tell
tell
me.
you the answer for that. I don't understand why women fight this issue. Right? They, especially in the black community, they'll say, where our mamas and our aunties, we got, we were beaten, we were this and that. And that
Mhm.
is absolutely not true for the most.
Mhm.
Okay. Some maybe. I mean, even still now, some maybe, right? Are there horrible men? Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely. However, as a whole, they try to make this as an issue, right? Oh, well, I don't want to have to depend on a man. The problem is you don't know how to work with one because
Mm.
you never had to because the government was there, okay? Or somebody was there outside of a man to actually pick you up,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so the women that actually did have to work with men, you've seen them in families, right?
Yeah.
And so you're not going to, until the artificial is knocked down,
Mhm.
you're not going to see women capitulate the other way, right? Right now, they're screaming and hollering. Why?
Mhm.
Because the masculine figure, which is the government,
Mhm.
isn't supporting them.
Yeah.
Right? They're
Yeah.
losing jobs by the thousands, right?
Mhm.
300,000 jobs gone from black women, especially in this area where I live, the DMV.
Yeah.
Because most black women and most black wealth comes from the government. They got all these, civil jobs back in the
Mhm.
day, and they
Mhm.
just kept them. And they just knew they couldn't get fired, and they were skating by. They weren't really saving the wealth. They went out here and bought all these McMansions out here in
Mhm.
Maryland and Virginia, and they weren't really building economic wealth because that's not, unfortunately, that's a lot of women don't even look at that. They don't understand finances. They don't
Mhm.
understand how, and that's honestly, that's why Kamala didn't have to do any capitulation towards finances. She was
Mhm.
talking about, unaliving. You know
She
what?
was listen, she was busy overspending the money that she did get for the campaign. How do you go in debt?
They're overspending right now with SNAP. They want you
Hold
to
on.
pull money out of an emergency fund. If my wife said that, like if I was a man and my wife said, "Hey, well, I know you can't get your car, but pull it out of the emergency." But the emergency fund is for something,
Mhm,
that goes wrong with the house. If I
mhm.
pull all of that out, oh yeah, and when you pull all of that out, go and find some more money to
Yep.
do what?
This is so, and it's so bizarre to me to be like, why y'all see that every outcome is worse, and I realize it now. It's only because of selfishness. There's no other explanation for this. It's because if they've gotten a personal benefit, even if your sons are suffering, even if your daughters are suffering, even if the community's suffering, even if our replacement rate and fertility rates are declining,
Oh,
you
they
don't
love to say
care.
that. They
You
love to
don't
say that,
care.
"Oh, it's more black people than white people's numbers are declining." Ma'am, at a 90 million clip rate that you're going with Planned Parenthood, where do you think you're at?
And what's wild is they are going to, you're following everybody but black men. And I'm not saying all black men are leaders because they're obviously not. But what I
Right.
am saying
I
is
get you.
my view is this: if everything isn't great in the overall community, especially those of us who work in or live in the urban community and settings, and I'm going to always separate local politicians versus federal and
As you
state level.
should.
Yeah, because I actually do think local politicians tend to be a little bit better at being able to be held accountable and being kicked out a little bit.
Mhm.
Shout out to Mayor Sherelle Parker. She's I've seen her cleaning up Kensington Ave, the drug capital of the country. I've been there. I've lived a block off of it. From packages getting stolen, drugs everywhere, open air drug, everything. It's what everybody thinks it is. It really is that bad. It's zombie land. And seeing her cleaning that up over the last year and some change, she's actually doing it, and she's actually starting multiple programs to get these people into housing, to get them cleaned up, to get them signed to. I'm seeing it. I met with her 2 months ago. Met
Mhm.
with her and what's his name? Um her and another politician. I met with them like a month ago, month
Yeah.
and a half ago, and got to see what their additional plans were for the city. And she's a Democrat. So I got no problem acknowledging if I really tangibly see people putting in and doing the work. But if on your end you're saying, well, in the DMV in Maryland, I'm not seeing it, you don't get to keep just vote. Don't stop voting and giving people the keys to rent to wreck your car, and then when anybody say, well, maybe we should stop giving the person who keep crashing
But
the car
they
the keys.
do
You're
because
crazy.
there
You're
is
crazy.
one
We can listen to
person that's driving and telling everybody else in the car to shut up. Okay. And that is unfortunately in the black community, that is black women at a 92% rate. They
Mhm,
are they are getting a what they think is a benefit. Okay.
mm.
But the benefit is your family.
Oh,
And for
yeah,
some reason, family, just like the respectability politics, is
mhm,
seen as a dirty word, right?
yeah,
The family aspect, everything comes later behind a career.
mhm, mhm, yeah,
And I'm just like, it makes absolutely no sense because that is what's going to get you the generational wealth that you want. That's what's going to get you, the desired outcomes that you want. Because when you have bigger families, when you have families that stick together, you have what's called community.
yeah,
Okay. When
yeah,
others come over here, they're like, oh, all these people, even the illegals, when they come over here, they come over here with what? Their families.
mhm, mhm,
Because they're all going to live in their house about 25 to 30 deep. Everybody's
yeah,
going to have a job.
mhm. And this the crazy part. So when y'all go to the food trucks, when y'all go to the get your nails done,
To carry
when
out.
y'all go to the restaurants, the Chinese food spots, is it only men working,
No.
or is there women working in these roles and positions as well? So every other group, you see the women working with their men, moving and pushing themselves and getting themselves out of poverty and moving towards being able to build something together. And y'all look at your men and say, if you can't afford for me to not have to work, you're not a real man.
Well, here's the problem with that, right? Because
Yeah.
I come from a long line of housewives. No woman in my family uh worked,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And and you know, it's different than what these women are talking about, okay?
Yeah.
Because no, they didn't work outside the household, but they ran a actual household.
Yeah.
And
And that's
that
another thing. You can't do both. You can't
yeah,
not do both.
yes, because something suffers, okay? The
Yes.
reason why your kids, you don't know what's going on with your kids because there's actually nobody there being attentive, right?
Yeah.
You can't work over here and then think this is not gonna suffer over here. So, when you get into all of that, right, women
Mhm.
have to realize that you have to make a choice because they think they can have it all, okay?
Mm.
Even men know they can't have it all.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't.
Right?
You
They
can't.
they know they know when they're working those long hours, my family's not seeing me. They have a realistic view of this. Women think, well, I can go sit 12 hours being an attorney and think my child is going to be perfectly fine. In what
Mhm.
world does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
so the thing about it is those women, like my mom and my grandma and great grandmothers, they actually took care of the household to rear children to to the tune of every generation
Mhm.
did this, right? And
Mhm.
the man didn't have to worry about anything in that household.
Yeah.
So he was fine to go out and do that. But y'all decided y'all didn't want that. Y'all decided y'all wanted to go out the household. So now when you have a generation that has been taught, well, women want to work.
Mm.
What kind of men do you think you're going to get? You're going to
Yeah,
get
and
a
this
group of men that have only seen women work, right?
that's one.
Outside the household
Mhm.
and inside the household hasn't been a thing in what 40 years,
Yeah.
and you're asking for that and you don't even know what it is or what it means to be a wife, what actually goes into that, what value do you bring? You can't tell that man. So you're trying to get somewhere that you don't even know how to be. Now you
It's
need to stay at your job.
it's wild, and what's crazy is even your anecdotal example of like, hey, I have 3 generations of us
Mhm.
being able to decide if we want to work or not and being able to take care of the home and X, Y, and Z. I keep trying to tell everybody that is not the norm for
No,
95% of people on the
no,
planet,
no.
nor 95% of people that's ever existed in the history of humanity. And I'm trying to
No.
get y'all to understand that if your view, you can help a man get there. You can start where you both work, and then you get in a position where you now work part-time, and then another year or two later, now you can work. I mean, now you can work remote, or you can be a stay-at-home wife, y'all. But if the view is if he's not a finished product, he's not an option for me. I keep
Well,
trying to
that's the problem.
and but
That's
that's
the
the issue, and
problem.
that is the issue, is that if enough of you are saying that, realize who has the leverage, not you all. The
Nope.
guy who has that. And if every woman is walking around and saying, I'm waiting for a man to be at the finish line of his success before he'll get anything from me, when he gets there, he may decide, I'll take you, and you. Oh, and this one may not be black, and this one may not be from this country, and this one may be foreign, and this one's more feminine and submissive. What you got to realize is the ladies that get the benefits of being on the opposite end of the spectrum, or being on the opposite end of the spectrum of a man's success, a lot of them, they either had to meet a certain aesthetic
Okay. Mhm.
physically, they either had to be born into a certain situation where they were, made known in certain circles to be a part of because they went to finishing school, they're in upper class circles.
Etiquette
So
school, yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
finish
Yeah.
like, so they
Uh-huh.
have those options,
Yeah.
or um she's so overly feminine in comparison to the westernized women in the country, she'll get to skip the line past all the ladies that's outright saying that's what they demand. All I'm gonna let y'all know a little cheat code, ladies. It's a huge deterrent. It's actually a huge deterrent for a man that spent his 20s and half of his 30s or more to build up himself to a level where he can have access to women from all over the world. and you're dictating and yelling and telling him what he's not a real man if he don't do X, Y, and Z. He's just going to give it to the woman that don't even ask and knows how to give and serve. He'll give her the world.
I
It's
tell
the
women this
women
all
who
the
don't.
time.
It's the women who, excuse my language. It's the women who shut the fuck up. It's the
I
women who
tell
shut the fuck
women
up. Not in the sense that you're not allowed to have a voice, but they know the timeliness of when it is that their voice should be spoken. When their words
absolutely.
should be. I don't need somebody that. How do you think I got to this position before you to be successful, to be in a position where you want to be with me? Because clearly I know I'm doing something right. So if you're talking so arrogantly, you've already been disqualified. Now I got to decide if I'm just going to have recreational fun with you, or if I'm serious about building with somebody, I'm gonna ghost you. I'm never gonna talk to you again. And that's if we even make it to the date. And again, this is obviously heavy on the ladies because there's clearly a whole lot of issues on the men's side as well.
Oh yeah,
Um,
but they
yeah.
like to skip past. They like to skip past that. They like to skip, the accountability. Like we can. Men are not perfect. We can talk
Mhm.
about men and their issues all day long,
Yeah.
right? But there's only one group that cannot be talked about, and that is women. And
Mhm.
women definitely have an issue with addressing certain things. But if you wait until a man is all the way at the end, you are now in competition, and it's
Yeah.
just it is what it is. And everything that you get in on early, has potential,
Mhm.
you usually win, right? If you got
Yeah.
in on Bitcoin back in the day, you're up.
Yes.
You're up.
Yeah.
But you try to get in late, you got to pay in. It
Mhm.
is what it is, right? And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
again, a lot of women of today, they love to say, "Oh, well, marriage is just a business." Okay, marriage is just a business. Cool. You don't think about it like a business though. You
Mhm.
keep thinking about it the wrong way. What do you do? What do the top money makers do? They look at investors. They look at startups. Like
They're
what?
competing.
Yes, they're like, okay, let me look over here. Let me look over here. Who got the
They're looking
position?
for the best candidates. Oh, it's amazing. This is
Nobody
amazing.
waits for Tom Brady to be Tom Brady.
Mhm.
No coach ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
But that's what they're being taught. And for the life of me with black women, I don't understand why you can't walk and chew gum. Well, I'm going to college and my career, you can't find a man while you're there. You can't look for one there. I
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know y'all doing y'all. So you obviously see men, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't they don't want to. They have this whole thing of I'm discentering men. I'm okay, we'll do that because later on in life you're gonna wish you never did it. And now you're gonna be behind the eight ball when you don't have your deck stacked. Because when you're
Uh-huh.
younger, you got your deck stacked. You got
Yep.
your looks, you got this, that, and the third, your energy, all of that. All of that you can lay on his feet and be like, this is what I got.
Yeah. 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 So real quick, and I'm gonna ask you this question, but
Mhm.
before we do that, thank you for everybody that's watching right now. If you're watching this and you haven't liked it, make sure that you like it. Make sure that you press the hype button. Really get this in the algorithm pushed up. Make sure you send it to 2 or 3 people. I had a question for you based on this whole gender war, dating, marriage stuff.
Mhm.
If things are as bad as the ladies are saying about the men, they're saying a lot of men are lazy. They're saying a lot of men are not ambitious. They're saying a lot of men are not physically, they haven't taken care of themselves physically. A lot of men are weaker emotionally. A lot of men, even women that want men to lead, a lot of men are not wanting to be leaders now. Do you think we're moving in a space where over the next 5 to 10 years, let's say between now and 2030, do you think OnlyFans has just gotten normalized over the last 5 plus years, right? Women being more outwardly transactional in general, with what it costs now to even take her out on a date. Do you think we're going to get to a place with so many women saying they're so unhappy, having to decide if they're going to get into polygyny or polygamy relationships with men?
They're gonna have to.
Mm.
Y'all are all chasing the same dude. If we all want the same dude, he has so many options. right? Because as you go up, the pyramid goes like this. It doesn't widen, right? So yeah, you're going. That's where it's going, right? I
Mhm.
mean, a lot of them already share, but at the end of the day, that is just a fact. A lot of them already share, but
Mhm.
yes, they're gonna have to go that way because you're all vying for the same guy's attention,
Mhm.
right? And that guy was the guy that you ignored.
Mhm.
Most men, aren't born with, wealth and inherents, things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And most men are not the quote unquote, like women. Oh, they look great, the best of lookers, right? So they
Yeah.
can't use that, and women don't really care. Like, it's cute for a while, but it's like
Mhm.
nobody's going to actually like pay because the man looks good, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they got to go out and get it. And,
Yeah.
and so most women pass that by. They pass that step and go straight to that guy. So if you guys are all looking at that dude, then yeah, you're gonna be sharing. And a lot of them, they would rather do that
Mhm.
than to actually, strategize and be strategic and getting a man.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
would
And that's
rather do that
exactly.
because they've been masculine for so long. They have this pride and this ego. They don't know how to be feminine
Mhm.
and just let the man, let that type of man come in your spirit. Like you can go places where these men are, but that's pick me stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell women all the time, this type of man is at this type of event. Go here, go there, go golf, and go where the men you want are.
Literally.
But they
Literally.
don't like to do any of that because I'm not doing this for a man. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. Well, you won't make
Your homegirl came in the chat. If you see,
Oh, Jazz.
I knew what you meant when you were saying we take the past and we'll either granderize it and make it all good or make it all bad.
Right.
And like, no, everybody wasn't being abused, everybody wasn't being violated, everybody wasn't. That's what you obviously meant. But your homegirl said men never oppressed women, but women were viewed as property, and marital rape was legal until 1993. Please shut the f up, Mika. What do you have to say to your homegirl, your panel mate?
The 92%. The 92%. Oh gosh.
Listen,
But yeah,
listen.
but
Yeah, yeah.
hi Jazz. Listen here. At the end of the day, okay, men were never oppressed. Let's be clear. Men, when it comes to this oppression thing, we're not going to do
Mhm.
the oppression Olympics, but men have been the ones building this actual country. Okay, black, white, Chinese, whatever. Okay,
Mhm.
labor labor laws before they were in existence, men were working, I mean, in the horrible conditions, doing this, that, and the third. Men men don't get enough respect, right?
Mm,
They only get, each group has their good and bad, right? But men
mhm,
are the only ones that have to live by the bad.
mm.
Okay, everything men do is not perfect. Nobody ever said that.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is there is more men that are good than bad. Just like I don't
Mhm.
inherently believe all women are just trash, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
they're pushing you that way because they make you believe that being masculine, like something is wrong with that. Yes, there are men that abuse women.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Of course.
not the majority of men, though.
And they
It's
should be
not
in
the
jail.
majority of men.
They should get
Okay.
the yeah, they should be in jail. They
And
should
and
get the
let's
shit beat
and
out
let's
of them.
and let's
Yeah,
address the property thing.
yeah.
Okay, okay. You don't like being property. All right. I'll tell you this though. Most of the women that I've known that were under their father's covering did a lot better than the women that weren't.
Mhm.
Most of the women that I know that listened to their daddy's advice on who, was an F boy and who wasn't, didn't end up with YNs and baby daddies. Most of them.
Mm.
Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Because the
Yeah.
rebellion chick is far few in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you have those, right? But that's not that's those outliers.
Mhm.
And the problem is women always talk about outliers. They don't talk about what is the norm. The norm is most men, especially today, okay, they don't hit women. They don't even go against women. It's happy wife, happy life. Most of them,
Yeah.
let's call it what
Yeah.
it is, will do whatever you ask. Okay. Most of them can't get past vagina. Let's just call it what it is. Most of them can't do that. Right.
Mhm.
And instead of being
Mhm.
on their purpose, they're chasing that.
Yeah. And funny
So
enough, so
to
Jazz,
say that is just absolutely asinine.
Jazz, she mentioned, oh, y'all didn't talk about the men enough, or apparently at all. Cool. So I'll do it. I'll talk about men in this time to satiate, to make sure we have actual equality. And I'll start with this before I even do talk about men. This comment I raised, Jazz, and for all of you. The reason why a lot of ladies are struggling with the red pill, the reason why a lot of ladies are struggling with men even talking publicly about women's behaviors is because you all have been conditioned to believe that women were the only ones that are allowed to be a part of the conversation. The View, talk shows, newspapers, magazines. You had a 60-year plus run of propaganda that heavily talked about what you needed, what you deserved, who you don't need, and who you're better than. So that on nationally televised shows like The View, they're talking about, do we need men? The idea that something on national television would say, are women necessary? Are women needed?
Men would never say
We
that.
would never even say something like that. You've gotten so conditioned to this. This small segment in a small section of the internet called the manosphere is where men are taking barbershop conversations and taking conversations that they may have in private with a male mentor. They're just putting it out in the public eye. Sometimes it's sexist. Sometimes it's misogynist. A lot of times it's just accurate.
And that's the problem, that it's the accountability, right?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because they talk about, oh, misogyny. Meanwhile, you want me to allow a full grown man in my bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's not misogyny. Okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
walk up and act like a ma'am, but I I should want that, but I shouldn't want a man to be able to have certain autonomy over me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody is saying that they're going to lead me, then okay, they have a lot that comes with that, and there's a certain responsibility with that, right? But
Yeah,
you as a woman have to have the discernment to pick a good man for that. All
yeah,
right. And so what I found is that a lot of women don't. And
yeah,
that is the
yeah.
reason why a lot of men, it wasn't for the um the factor of I just want to take control of women. A lot of men really do care about their wives and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men care about their daughters.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
to end up with the proper man, he takes charge of setting her up with the proper man. Not just about who's cute and who you like and who gives
Mm-hmm.
you butterflies. Is this man going to take care of my daughter like I would? Does this man actually really want to be with her, or does he just want to sleep with her?
Yeah,
And a lot of the
yeah.
times women don't see it.
No, it take like women's intuition doesn't actually exist.
It
And I know
exists. It exists, but
it.
here's
You
the
know what it
thing:
is.
it
You know
doesn't
what it
kick
is.
in. It doesn't
When
kick
does it
in
turn on? When
until
does it
they
turn on?
and it don't that it turns on when she met Tyrone. I'm telling you right now. She saw it. She saw he was a scumball, right? It's like having the two conscious, back in the day you had the devil and she
Yeah.
saw it. She said, oh, he got 4 baby mamas. I know, but he is so fine.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So shout out to
You know.
Slimmy. I saw you in the
What's up, Slimmy?
pulling up real quick. And Slimmy, listen, y'all gotta treat Slimmy better. You and what's her name?
No, no,
Molly.
you will
Mo-
not. You will not.
y'all,
You
y'all
guys.
the last week and a half. I don't know what y'all doing on this panel. This man is losing it. Y'all
So
stressing this man. Y'all
it's so
stressing this
funny
man
because
out. No, no, no,
we
no, no,
would
no,
be
no.
having a
We go.
conversation in some way. They get to
We
Molly and
not,
Slimmy will
not
get to argue,
Molly.
and then it's my fault.
Listen, no, because Molly, I know her game, and don't bring me on the panel because it ain't gonna work on me, Molly. I'm just telling you that right now. But with Slimmy, y'all be riling this man up, and y'all say, and I need to ask you this because does the sisterhood
Yeah.
exist? Because for according to
No.
you and all the ladies on the panel, the sisterhood doesn't exist.
No, they
Huh.
say, well, some women think it exists, and a lot of men think it exists, right?
Mhm.
And I say men are the only ones that have um a brotherhood,
Hmm.
right? Men are the only ones that have a bro code, man code, whatever you guys call
Mhm.
it, right?
Mhm.
Women do not have a sisterhood. Women are a collective of individuals that have stood just standing by each other
Mhm.
while it benefits them.
Mm.
Okay. Because if
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
was so a sister code, right, you wouldn't
Mhm.
have names like pick me and she's male identified, right?
A male centered, yeah.
Yeah. You
But
wouldn't
the
have that.
assumption is that they're basically saying these women are outliers and the rest of us operate in
No,
the
they're
sisterhood.
shaming us. They're
Ah,
trying to shame us into going over to what benefits the majority, right?
okay.
The majority. Let's just say this: the majority, if the majority has a bunch of babies out of wedlock,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Even if you don't have babies out of wedlock, women want you to be over here, so that way, just in case you have one, nobody shames you for it. Right? So we're
mm,
there just in case. So even if you don't, have this problem, still do it. So we can, we can get it. We can get it just in case.
mhm,
And
mhm.
then they'll move the goalposts because remember they want it to work. Now
Yeah,
they're tired of working and they want a soft life, and men aren't providers and leaders.
yeah,
So now
true.
they've moved it over here, and if you tell them, "Well, you want it to work." "Oh, you are male identified, you're a misogynist," but this is what you wanted to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We're listening to you. I don't understand. You
I
don't
think they
like
got
men,
everything they
but
wanted.
men were the ones that gave you what you wanted.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I think
asked
they got
for
what
it.
they wanted.
So, yeah, no, there's no sister code because I will tell you right now,
Mhm.
women will backstab you in a heartbeat and less.
Y'all,
And
I
most
don't
women know that.
listen, y'all, I don't think Jazz is single, by the way. I know y'all all think she I don't think Jazz is single, so y'all ain't gotta attack her too much. So back to my point about men. My both anecdotal, professional, and just general observations.
Mhm.
I think if I had to put a percentage on it, I think minimum a third of all men functionally are lacking purpose.
Absolutely.
They're just completely lacking purpose to the point where they're seen as effectively useless to everybody around them. Women, children, families. Um, Part of this is, at least in the Black community, I think that when you grow up in environments where it's heavily more matriarchal in nature, there's a lack of men, there's a lack of order and structure, this is going
Absolutely.
to happen. There's also the feminization and coddling of society, both in fields and in home environments,
Mhm.
where women can't create men. Mothers can't. Mothers will never know what it truly means to be a man and what's required to do that, to become that. And vice versa. And to be
And
fair, like we could both sides, fathers can protect, fathers can try to protect their daughters to a degree, but he'll never fully understand what it's going to truly be like for her to become a young woman. He
exactly.
needs the input, even if he has better outcomes as a single father. He still needs input from his mom, from
And he
family
usually
relatives,
does.
from women, from women in the community. He's still going to need that. And so for men, keeping it on men, that's one
Mhm.
is a lack of purpose. The
Mhm.
second is a lack of sexual discipline. A
Absolutely.
lot of marriages, and I'm going to touch on this at some point because I think some of the worst people in relationships and the worst people in society are people that actually never cheated. It's
Mm.
because I think a lot of them tend to function in thinking that if I didn't cheat and the other person did, they're the reason for why the relationship ended.
Oh,
There's a big, big,
tell
big,
it.
there's a big, big thing because again,
And
a
they
lot of
never
men.
look at the verbal. the verbal
verbal or
assault,
emotional abuse. They don't
abuse.
look at any of
Yeah.
the factors, physical abuse, right? So they don't look at all this stuff. But what I'm saying with men,
Yeah.
the lack of sexual discipline, this is how it manifests.
Yeah.
Obviously, the most obvious one is having children with women that you don't love and don't love you and
Yeah.
will use the children against you. That's horrible, right? Number two, you created the market that you're complaining about, and myself included, when you had sex with all these women that you had no intentions of building and doing life with long term.
Absolutely.
The market that's so bad and the women that you're saying is complaining about they're so this and so that. Did you contribute to the very pool? Did you piss in the pool that you saying is now dirty?
Yeah.
If we
And you
lack
continue to talk to them.
men, we lack. It takes us to our mid-30s or 40s to start to understand the importance of sexual discipline. So when you have men and their boys and men in their teens and 20s lacking sexual discipline, having children left and right, not sticking around, not even trying to stick around. And then when you finally level up, um, the approach
Mhm.
with how to go about dealing with the women in our community, if you want to date women in our community,
Mhm.
there's a lack of leadership amongst men, particularly, and I'm going to say this especially, Democrat liberal men. Y'all are not functionally leaders. There's a reason why the
The
party is
estrogen
losing
is
men in
high.
role. Masculinity is completely missing in the Democrat Party right now.
Absolutely.
It's completely missing. So those are my
Absolutely.
top three, big three. There's other things as well. I think men can get better with how to handle their emotions, how to communicate better. And I do think that men need to do a much better job on the screening end when it comes to who it is that we're choosing to give access to our resources for, access to our health, our bodies, our wealth, our name, our we we talk in the manosphere specifically. You guys talk so much about how emotional women are and how women aren't logical and this and that. There's a whole lot of dudes that's crying and depressed about women that showed very clear red signs up front,
Uh-huh.
red flags up front. So
But
not every single woman is Houdini and is hiding all this stuff. A lot of women show you exactly who they are on social media. They're advertising it. They're telling you during the first date. They're letting you know who they are and what they stand for and how much they're seeking male validation up front. And you still get Offset didn't know who he was dealing with.
Offset absolutely knew what he was dealing with,
Right?
and
He's
that's
a
why I
grown
don't.
man.
And that's
He's a
why
grown
I
man.
don't share any tattoo tears for
You can't
Offset.
you can't.
You know,
You can't listen, Jazz, I'll give Jazz this credit. Jazz is gonna make sure the men get held accountable no
but
matter
they do.
what.
But they do. The thing
Yeah.
about it is
Mhm.
the reason why you're talking about it is because they do. Not
Yeah.
only do other men hold other men accountable and will
Mhm.
drag them, okay, women will drag them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
you
the
can get
legal
it
court
from
process will
all
hold them
angles. I
accountable.
can go find podcasts talking about men and the bad things that they do, right? Because like I
Mhm.
said, men are not perfect. The
Correct.
problem it has never been that men are this perfect being because they're not. They're human, correct?
Yeah.
So they do make mistakes. The problem is only one gender is allowed to be talked about
Yeah.
without it being an issue, because it's not a problem that you talk about men, because men have a lot of issues, good and bad, right?
Right.
The problem is women. Now me personally, I focus on women because one, I'm a woman, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that a lot of our problems can be controlled with what we do, right?
Correct.
Men, they control access to relationships and we control access to sex, correct?
Yeah.
So if you, my love, don't want to be pregnant or you don't want to be this type of a woman, then why are you out here letting any and everybody run through you for the sake of sexual freedom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You can control that. It literally is just close your legs. That's
Yeah.
all you have to do. Like he doesn't control that. And
Mhm.
so we try to take that onus away from us. Well, he said this. I don't care what he says. What did he show you? And I
Mhm.
assure you,
Mhm.
he didn't show you anything that said he was ready to be a father. Okay, he didn't show you anything that said he financially
Yeah.
could, take care of you as a family. And I'm sure in this day and age, he didn't tell you he wanted to marry you.
Yeah, yeah, and the funny part is having a daughter now, I have to imagine, what the future holds for her in terms of if she wants to get married, what my
Yeah,
input would be in an environment where she's conditioned to where I'm not allowed to have an opinion. And that's a real thing growing up and living in the States, is like the reason why the body count gets high is not it's not just about you decided to sleep with all these different men. The reason why your body count got high and why you've dealt with so many different men and had so many different negative experiences is because the men in your life didn't allow to have any say. And that's the piece that I think ladies are missing, is the men that care about you the most would obviously not want you to have nearly as many of those negative experiences, but
absolutely.
you'll trust your own emotions and your feelings that led you there, and then blame the patriarchy and men when it doesn't work out.
But then blame the patriarchy for not protecting you, but blame the patriarchy for being overprotective,
Uh,
right? And it doesn't
look
it
at look at
doesn't
the
make
girl, look at the
any.
girl.
I love you, Jazz. You know I love you. You know I love you. That's why I was laughing. I was just like Jazz, because
But
Jazz is a sweet. Look, I'll let y'all in. Jazz is
yeah,
a sweet woman. We
she
just
really is.
disagree.
That's the crazy part. She what
She
they
is a
think
sweet woman, but we disagree.
of Jazz on the social media thing. If you've talked to her one on one, right?
Yes,
Yeah, I've
yes.
talked to her a,
She's a
a
sweet
couple
woman,
times,
a
and
very
she's
sweet
like,
woman.
she's not what I think people think she is. It's just that she's obviously a advocate for women.
Yes.
And I'm working on her. I'm still working on her, trying to get to a place where she's a little bit more balanced with her approach, to show a little bit more empathy towards men and show a little bit more accountability towards women. But she's in the journey like the rest of us for sure. I got two more questions because I've been holding
Uh-huh.
you long for sure.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
Let's see. Interracial dating. There's been now and again, you may not have known this. In my previous relationship, I actually was with a Belarusian. Yes, y'all, she was white. And obviously it didn't work out. But
Okay.
prior to her and after her, I had only been in relationships with black women, but I noticed how people treated me and talked to me and about me while I was in that interracial relationship. Before I say anything more about that, what's your thoughts about interracial dating and relationships in general? And then also this thing where, like, in the black community, it seems like men are being demonized if they decide to date out.
Well, for me, it's a bit different because, I'm a product of mixed race mixing,
Mhm.
right? So I don't have a problem with it at all. Um, I I think the reason why it's a problem in the black community is because there's strife there. There's no family unity. Black women and black men are already at a head at this point.
Yeah.
But I also think, you know, there's a lot of internal strife when it comes to, I guess, when you want to say black black men dating white women per
Mhm.
se, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I've heard black men say, mean stuff,
Yeah.
to black women that date out, calling them mammies and all this other nonsense. But
Yeah.
um outside of that, right? It's not really a I don't want you to not date them, right? Um and so I think I think women, we take women as a whole, black, white in general, I think women, we take, what men and who men desire very, very, very personally,
Mm.
because women, like, that is our whole being. Like, we want to be desired. We want to be loved. We want to give love, right?
Mhm.
And so that's a part of who we are as women. So who a man picks really tells you a lot about him,
Mm.
right? Who your
Mhm.
wife is really tells you a lot about that man. and how he moves.
so what does having a non-black woman in a man's arms mean to a lot of black women from your opinion?
Now, it shouldn't mean anything,
Mhm.
but I'm going to tell you what I hear.
Okay.
And what I hear is that that man doesn't like black women. Okay.
Correct.
That he
I've heard that.
doesn't want to be with a black woman, or he doesn't want a black family, right?
Mhm,
Or
mhm,
he hates himself. He wants his kids to look a certain way. He wants his kids to, have, because in the black community they have the good hair, bad hair thing.
mhm.
He wants his kids to have good hair. He wants to be closer to white. He thinks he's white. All of this stuff. And sometimes that may be true.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes it definitely is.
that could be true, but
Yeah.
a lot of the times, it's just sometimes it's just proximity,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because a lot of I do know that a lot of black men, meet a lot of white women when they start working different type of jobs. They start working, where they start going to these colleges and things like that, right? So
Mhm,
you meet different types of people, and it's
mhm.
okay. Right? But, it's always only again boiled down to the one negative.
Yeah, it's always that he hates black women
Right,
and yeah, yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
right, and I do not think the majority of black men don't like black women. Like,
Mhm.
I see a lot of them literally running after black women.
I've talked like
A
I
lot
grew up
of
with
them.
them. I grew up with them in college. I talked to them. Out of all of those men, that's ever been in interracial relationships, white, Brazilian women, just different Hispanic women or whatever.
Mhm.
What I noticed, one of them, and I've talked to all of them over the span of the last 15 years.
Yeah,
One made a statement of, "Oh, I'm not dating no black women." One. All of them have dated black women before.
yeah,
All of them have had both positive and potentially negative experiences with women. A lot of it was
yeah,
timing. A lot of it was where they were in life and who the woman was in front of them and how she made him feel was usually a much bigger factor than her hair texture
yeah,
or her hue or her melanin. It was much more about how think of it this way, y'all. If he's willing to do that, knowing so many people in the community and in his church and in his family and potentially in his sorority fraternity will lose respect for him, judge him, and have something negative to say,
mhm,
this woman has to be treating this man kind of good
yeah,
in order for him to deal with all of that.
yeah,
And why
uh,
is it that the impulse when you see that isn't, damn, I wonder how she's treating him. I wonder what she did for him to pick her. It's, oh, he hates himself, hates his mother, and hates black women. That
it's the
probably
drama.
explains, hear me what I'm about to say. That might explain why some of those men are willy nilly just dating in all these other groups and countries and cultures around the world because their lens is when there's a disagreement or where we're not aligned, you go to the worst possible way of framing it when you're talking about a black man.
Mhm.
There's no other explanations for why he went to a PWI and it was 3 black people that went there.
Proximity.
One's gay and two are in relationships. And like many people who go to college, they found somebody
Yeah,
while they were in college, and that's how it happened.
yeah.
You don't care about that. He hates himself. He's self hatred. He's anti black. He hates his mother. And he hates black women.
Mhm.
When do y'all realize how the election just went and how it didn't really work? Where when somebody doesn't do what you think they should do, and instead of being understanding or just it's their right to view differently, think differently, vote differently, you try to attack them. I, t- I promise you, you will not be seen as more attractive by attacking black men for the black men that are dating out. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
If you just go where you're celebrated,
And appreciate it.
you you don't
That's
you
it.
don't see it. Like, you literally don't see it. And I think some of the, like I said, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, that there aren't those men,
Mhm.
but 90% of the time, it's not that. My parents met in school,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
school, but still in school,
Yeah.
right? They come from 2 completely different backgrounds, all right?
Mhm.
So, it's about proximity most of the time. And on top of that, let's be clear, most black guys are, in well, most black people and most white people at that,
Mhm.
they're in their own bubbles
Yes.
up until they start branching out from, wherever they were raised from childhood. You start meeting different people, you
Mhm.
start meeting different cultures and things like that. But it's only seen as a slight to black men. And I think it's because of all of the turmoil from, everything that's happened in the history of this country, right?
Mhm.
That's still being dragged along. So black men, even if they don't think that way, they don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like black men are the only ones not allowed to date interracially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
men
and
in general don't get the benefit of the doubt of the positive thing as we were just talking about, but
mhm.
black men have that to deal with, plus, all of the racial history.
Y'all, real quick, I've seen this a few times. I have no problem saying if I believe somebody is a misandrist. Me and Jazz struggle with how we view certain situations in terms of how we frame certain situations, but I don't think Jazz hates me. I don't think she hates Lemmy. I don't think Jazz hates any of the black
I don't
men or people, men in general that she knows and does life with.
I
Um,
think Jazz is just very
yeah, yeah. I think she's definitely passionate for sure.
passionate.
Um,
That's
real
all.
quick, so dating in general,
Yeah.
and we'll close out with this. Obviously, I mentioned it briefly. The women, especially liberal women, you're seeing it all the time now. Liberal women are getting on social media and talking about where's all the real men, X, Y, and Z. They're unhappy. They're stating a lot of traits that aren't very common in the men
Mhm.
that vote like them, and they're constantly saying where's all the real men, but they want a man that votes like them. When you merge dating and politics, how important is politics to dating and relationships, and how important is it for the women who are saying they want men to be more traditional? They want men to have certain gender roles. They want him to take on certain things. They're listing off all these things that don't really appear to sound like what a lot of liberal men are doing or willing or comfortable with doing. What are your thoughts about, is politics even that important?
Politics is absolutely important because you have to know where your family is going to align, the values in your household. One, two, depending on, your I guess where you want to be in life and what you guys want to do, you're going to have to think about the economics, right? And you got to think about your family structure and, where you're going to live. Like, all of these things matter, and that is wrapped up in politics, right? And to say that, I want a man to be traditional, but you don't want him to do the traditional things, then how would you get a traditional man? Because there is
Mhm.
no hybrid. There is
You want
no
him to
in
vote
between.
progressively. You want him to vote progressively. You won't date him or have sex with him if he votes the opposite of you. But like,
It's absolutely terrible because when you think about it, um, you know, um, I've never seen a man be able to operate on the in between, right? Because when a man has to operate in the in between,
yeah,
he's unsure of himself.
yes,
He
I
doesn't
agree
make
with that.
good decisions. He's, indecisive,
Mhm.
and he's not on his purpose, and that is unattractive.
It seems like
Like,
it.
it's
It seems like
unattractive to women, which is
yeah.
the reason why a lot of liberal men don't get women. A lot of
Seems
them
like
are the ones that are crying and, whatever, and they're like, "Why are these machismos getting, all the women?" Because as machismo as they are, they're masculine,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so uh women are because of all the, stupid gender changes and gender roles, women are getting that. They're either getting the soy boy, or they're getting the machismo,
Hmm.
because the traditional man understood, how to walk in his masculinity, but was able to dial certain things back to be able to talk to his woman and his kids and things like that. But he still held firm, had structure, he still protected and provided, right? Like, there's certain things that come along with being masculine.
Yeah.
And to a lot of men today don't don't know how to be it.
Hmm.
And some, not even of their own doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just how they have been raised. This is
Hmm.
how they've been conditioned. And to correct it, it's going to take a while. And unfortunately, a lot of these women and men will never actually be in healthy relationships. They won't,
Hmm.
because it's going
Hmm.
to take, just like it took a long time for it to get this bad, it's going to take a while to weed that out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think any man, unfortunately, that follows behind his woman when it comes to what his household, the household that bears his name, not
Hmm.
hers,
Hmm.
okay? The
Hmm.
household that bears his name, if he's following behind her leadership, that household is already doomed,
Mm.
because there isn't a woman in life, I don't care what she tells you. Men, I don't care what they tell you. They
Hmm.
do not want to make the decisions.
Not the ones that really, I guess, matter that can affect us.
They don't want to ask a woman, where does she want to eat?
Now the caveat is my wife will say she gets pissed off because I don't be knowing myself either, which is hilarious. But
But
it's hey,
who does she ask?
me, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Don't no, I just say this. Don't listen to her. Just be like, okay, man. All right. We're going to Olive Garden. Let her complain it. Never ask.
Listen, I enjoyed this conversation. There was so much I had planned for us to continue to talk about, but I felt like, listen, I already kept you super long. One, I enjoyed this. How did you feel about coming on the show for the first time?
I absolutely loved it. I'm trying to look down every now and then to see what popped up, but I
Oh,
absolutely
it's
loved it. I
wild.
was just talking and talking. I'm gonna
It's
go back
wild.
and look at these comments, child. What were y'all
I
saying?
I think it was like over 800 comments in the time we were talking for the last 2 hours. So
Oh,
it's been very, very responsive. Half of them was from Jazz.
wow.
Um
I did see one that said, "Jazz, slow down." I said, "What happened?"
Yeah, she was go well, people be saying stuff to her. So listen, make sure you say something to your boy Slimmy. I would love to have him on. And when Anton and the crew is ready for me, we'll
Oh,
see how that goes.
yes. Well,
But I'm gonna tell y'all this: y'all not gonna have me doing a Slimmy crash outs. I'm not. I'm gonna
Ah,
be right there. I'm gonna
you're
be
not
right
gonna get
there.
triggered. You're not gonna send me.
That's what I call it, the Slimmy crash out. So you got the Slimmy crash outs, you got the what's it called? The Molly distractions, because
Uh-huh.
we know what we know when she be like, but men, but men, but men. We
Uh-huh.
we know
But
the game.
the crazy part about it is I get blame. I go in the comment section. They like, this is Mika fault. She should never brought it up because she
Hmm.
knew Molly was gonna say something. It's
Listen, this is
absolutely
hilarious.
hilarious. But
I love the show. I love the show. I
I
think you all
thank
have
you.
a great chemistry
Uh-huh.
as a unit and team. So
Thank you.
I kudos to y'all for kind of having these conversations. I know a lot of times people are, oh, why y'all always talking about this or talking about that? It's current. It's relevant. It's
Yeah,
affecting a lot of people's
you
lives.
have to talk about what's going on, and I'll say this.
Mhm.
I'll just land my plane with this. The reason why, on my show I talk about politics, and the reason why on the panel show with Anton, we talk about, a lot of these women and men topics, is because it is relevant, and
Mhm.
it is affecting everything that's going on in our lives today. And I want to say this.
Mhm.
I am not male centered. I understand that that is my counterpart that I have to work with in life.
Mhm.
Ladies, you get more out of being feminine
Yeah.
than you get being masculine. You see how men are to each other. It doesn't work. especially coming from us.
Yeah.
So if women, we just master what we already have, which is femininity. We
Hmm.
don't have to do all these tricks and trying to get men to do this, that, and the third. We already got the gift.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
need to use it properly.
Literally. Literally. And I've noticed that change in the women who are softer and more feminine. One view is people say, oh, we shouldn't conform to men and this and that, and that's being male centered. One way I would word it is when I talk to men and they talk about we shouldn't change how we speak so that women can receive it, they're all children and this and that. You lack emotional intelligence. You lack the ability to be able to adapt to the audience that's in front of you. If you had a child, how would you talk? If you had a woman in front of you, how would you talk? If you were talking with coworkers, how would you talk? If you were amongst your friends, how would you talk? You code switch all the time. And then when it comes to a relationship with a woman, you think you can talk to her like a man. That's stupid. So when these ladies try to talk to us as men, it's the same concept. Y'all will
Absolutely.
you'll get way further. You'll get way further with men in general and people in life if you're just nicer, softer, and a little bit more feminine. Way easier.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean now that softness we can withhold it to a degree from men who are rude, people who are
Absolutely.
disrespectful, right? But if you are, and I'll do it this way: if my general disposition is just being respectful towards everybody, unless
Mhm.
they disrespect me, I tend to get more positive outcomes. Hi, officer. Why'd
I
you push?
tell
Hi,
ladies
officer.
this all
Why'd
the
you push me
time.
over?
I'm the same way with women. Like I've had women talk to me and they're like, "You're actually cool to talk to." I never. I'm like, I'm the same way with everybody. I'm not just like that. I'm the same exact way with everybody. And the thing is, women, we already have the gift. I don't
Mhm.
know why we're not using it.
It's a
I I
gift.
I
You
don't
get way
I
more.
don't know why. At all women, watch 300. Watch Leonidas before he kicks the man in the hole.
Yes. Yes.
He
Yes.
turns around.
His wife. Yeah.
His wife hits the,
Amazing. Amazing.
and he's still in the front leading. He's still the king.
Men have gone over to war because of feminine women. Men have
Yeah,
fought for women's honor, oh,
yes,
because of how feminine and soft and them
yes,
being in that role.
yes.
Think of it this way, ladies, for those of you that might struggle with what I'm about to say. If you all are bucking against this and you're deciding we can do what we want, dress how we want, dance how we want, behave how we want, and the outcomes are less marriage, less relationships, everything's out of whack in the community. And when you were softer, more feminine, more submissive, and more complementarian, you probably would have the opposite results of what you have now. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought experiment. Just a
They're
thought.
gonna have
And guess
they're
what?
gonna have something to combat that.
And the crazy part is the
Say,
men that require it, the
yeah,
men that demand it, the
yeah.
men that expect it, most of them will never say it. They just move that way. And either you are or you
They
aren't.
don't see you. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you all this little cheat code. Most of them are the men that are comfortable with disagreeing with you, telling you when you're wrong, and being willing to walk away because your sexuality and beauty isn't enough to tolerate staying with bad behavior and bad attitudes. Those men today in 2025 are independent thinkers, independent voters, and are currently not following you in the political space. They're not liberals. Hate to break
They
it to
they definitely didn't both gamble.
you. So listen, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, how they can support you, and when we gonna start seeing your podcast popping, so we can have a panel with me, you, Slimmy, Jazz, and really start going in on this stuff. What's to let the people know how they can find you and support you.
Child, look. You guys can find me on YouTube at the Red Cup Podcast. You can also find me on Instagram at the Red Cup Now. All right. And you can also find me on any platform at Pop Culture Micca. You can Google that and it'll just come up. All of it will still come up. So I'm on every platform that you could think about except for Facebook.
Same. I'm not on Facebook either.
I Facebook was killing me with those notifications. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But every
Mm-hmm.
other platform, I'm there. So, but yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for talking politics, women, men. Like I definitely enjoy a space where, you can talk about anything.
Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on and doing me this solid favor. I hope
Yeah.
this pattern continues. It's like people didn't know I existed 6 months ago, and it's kind of cool to be able to talk to everybody who I've been being entertained with on panels
Oh
and
yeah,
podcasts
I
and
can't
everything.
wait. I can't wait to bring you on because
Oh, oh shit.
my audience, they're gonna love to see what you know.
Well, listen, I know a lot of the ladies aren't going to be fans initially, but what I have learned over time with doing this
Mhm.
is that a lot of them may start out not liking what I have to say, but when they're allowed to ask their questions and I'm allowed to respond, I think they're sensing that I'm not coming from a place of trying to um, come at it for the wrong reasons, wrong motives. I'm coming at it through the lens of like acting in bad faith, where my whole approach is I just want y'all to be miserable. I want y'all to be bad. I want y'all to be miserable alone and everything. What I actually want is as many of you as possible to get the outcomes that you want. And yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's what I
And,
tell
and
women all the time.
both politically, socially, relationally, economically. I want us to be together. And I'm trying to bring on men and women who are trying to assess what their perspective is what's wrong, what's contributing to the problem. And I think you're one of the answers. I think we
Thank
need to
you.
start thinking out the box and be
Absolutely.
vocal and in defending masculinity again, and the need for men to be in the community and be in the leadership role. And
Yes.
you're smart, you're educated, you're in the political space, and you're respected. And I hope that these types of conversations, people will see like black men and black women can talk about this stuff. We don't have to agree 100%. It can be respectful. And like I said, I think it was going to be a fire conversation. I'll see how. Oh, by the way, all y'all that was commenting in this chat talking about how beautiful Micca is and all this other stuff, that's cool and all, but y'all making it seem like she's sitting up here with Shrek. The hell? Like, yo, I exist too, This is crazy. She's so beautiful. She's so bad. She's so this. Okay, fellas, relax. Uh, first of all, nobody listen. I'm not saying I'm Aisha Curry and looking for the attention, but god damn, come on now. So now I'm playing. I appreciate this. So
Oh, Lord.
have a good night
You too.
and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Good night.
All right. All right, y'all. So I hope that y'all really enjoyed that. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody said the boy is handsome around here. I'm gonna be listen, I done went off on Aisha Curry for a minute. It's time for people to look where the chat's at talking about the boy is about here. What's like I like the hat. See, where were all of these during the whole time when nobody was complimenting your boy? Respect. Listen, y'all, this was fun. It would be dope to talk with Anton and the crew and everything, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Listen, everybody not going to agree. Obviously, we're going to have different views of opinions. Listen, y'all, continue to support the channel, support the cause, different ways to support. Like, subscribe, hit the button to kind of raise the hype meter, I guess is what it's called on this video, and buy something from the store before we swap out all the stuff that's currently on there. We're planning on between now and December to change a lot of stuff and remove a lot of stuff that's there and replace it with new stuff. So this stuff is not going to be stagnant. So you guys probably have legitimately to the end of this month to get your hat, to get your sweatshirt, to get your mug, because I'm going to be revamping and having a whole bunch of other stuff coming in. But listen, y'all, I genuinely appreciate y'all. Again, y'all, just to clarify, there's concerns that my channel is being shadow banned after the most recent episode I did on Thursday, Friday, releasing about the truth about Barack Obama. Ever since then, all my videos, everything is down. Most people are saying that nothing's popping up in the algorithm, nothing is showing. So to manually force it, make sure y'all hit that notification bell. Make sure y'all periodically check the channel. And whenever stuff kind of pops up, just kind of share it, because right now it seems like they're kind of messing with the income, messing with the money, messing with the views right now, just as a result of me, I guess, talking about a particular subject that apparently I was safe to talk about every other topic, but it seems like after mentioning Obama and his presidency, everything is completely just gone the exact opposite. And we know we know that it's something connected to this because we've seen the pattern of my growth and we've seen the pattern of my views and that pattern of engagement be consistent up until the last 3-4 days. So more than likely that's what it is. So if y'all can support, I would greatly appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that was in the chat. Love y'all. Listen, tomorrow I'm doing this again. I'm not stopping. I am going to go ham. Tomorrow we have the special guest, Tommy Sotomayor, bringing on the legend himself. It's going to get lit. It's going to get crazy. And then philosophical on Thursday night as well. So this is going to be a busy week for me. So pray for your boy. And then Friday, Lord willing, I'm going to be in a position to try to have an original content episode ready, which many of you have asked for. A lot of y'all telling me to get away from talking about politics, but I really enjoy it. It's going to be on how to become a master communicator. So it's going to be a step-by-step guide for those of you who feel like you want to be better at communication, with talking, with presentations. I'm going to show you step-by-step things that I learned, books that I have, and it's going to change your dynamic about how to debate, how to converse, how to listen, and how to present yourself in a particular format so that you're going to see the benefits of it if you put this stuff into practice. So my Lord willing, I'm going to try to do it by Friday. If not, first 1 or 2 days in Monday or Tuesday next week, I'm probably going to release it so I can get that out. So best believe, just pray for me, y'all. Last but not least, another little announcement. Your boy is going to be going to New York this month. I'm not going to say what day, to go and meet with a podcast and a crew of people that many of you have heard of. I'm not going to spoil who it is. Just know they can shadow ban me all they want, but that's not going to stop me from talking, from sharing, and collaborating with other content creators that I think have something dope to share. So from Jazz to Dr. Will, Miss Anita, Taylor Chandler, who else was it? Dave Anderson, Rolo. Now, I have Tommy coming up. We just had Micca. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the people that's coming on. And if y'all have any other people that y'all think I should try to get on, reach out to them and tell them to connect with me because that makes it easier. And feel free to kind of comment in the chat. And no, it's not Joe Budden, unfortunately, not yet. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Listen, y'all, enjoy y'all evenings. Make sure y'all eat if y'all haven't. Get y'all rest, work out, love on each other, love men, love women, love liberals, love Democrats, love conservatives, love Republicans, love the independents, those of us that's in the middle that everybody hate. Let's love on each other and let's use this as an opportunity for us to really and smell the roses. Make sure you let the crew know your boy is ready to slide through real quick. So listen, y'all, thank y'all for your time. Have a good night. And we'll see what happens in terms of this shadow banning thing. But something tells me if I keep doing stuff like this, it may not matter. I think the channel and the platform is going to continue to grow. All right, y'all. I'm tired. Have a good night. Talk to y'all soon. Godson out. Peace.